Hi guys, Catherine here from Journey Healers, and I've had a lot of people asking me about my Evolving Out Loud experience with Kyle Cease on the weekend. And to sum it up, it was absolutely incredible. Kyle was able to help me see my own light by standing in his own light. And I had a lot of huge shifts and breakthroughs when it comes to my own personal demons. Um, So I just want to share with you some of the aha moments that I had when I was at the Evolving Out Loud. Uh, so one of the things that came up for me, um, I was very triggered by the homeless people in Los Angeles. Um, they make the people that are homeless in my own area look like privileged homeless people, um, which is a weird thing to actually say and to recognize. At one point, so we went to the Warner Brothers studio um, on the Friday before the Evolving Out Loud, and we thought it was just a quick walk, according to the map. But it turned out to be quite a long walk, and I ended up with some major blisters on my feet. And so on the Saturday when I went to the Evolving Out Loud, I was very sore, and my feet were very much hurting. Um, and one of the things we had to do on the Saturday was to sit with our emotions and our vulnerabilities and to see how that played. So I'll get to that part later, but I'm going to continue on with the homeless people right now. So my feet were sore, and we broke for lunch on Saturday, and my husband and I were walking up Hollywood Boulevard, and I was kind of wincing with each step because it hurt. And right in front of me, there was a homeless man, and he had shoes that didn't fit. He had muddy and bloody feet. He had blisters that were a lot bigger than mine. Some of them popped, bleeding, pussy. His clothes were dirty. His hair was dirty. And I don't think I've ever actually seen that in real life in regards to homeless people. Again, the people in our area that are homeless, um, they don't always look homeless or quite as bad as what this guy did. And I realized that that was a judgment on my own part. Um, so seeing his feet, it kind of made me go, wow, my feet are not that bad. And it allowed me to see just how much worse I could have it. And I stopped complaining about my feet at that point. And then a few seconds later, another man walked past, and he was actually walking on two paraplegic legs. He didn't have feet at all. And so again, it was absolute gratitude for where I was at in having blisters on my feet. On Saturday night, after the event, when I talked about the homeless people, I got very emotional. And one thing that Kyle says is we're supposed to say, and I love that, when there's something that makes us uncomfortable, especially in regards to the emotions that are coming up. And so when I said to my husband, um, you know, it's like nobody cares about the homeless people. And I was getting emotional. And my husband looked at me and he said, and I said, and I love that. And he said, what part of you is actually triggering this right now? And then I got very emotional. And we were actually eating supper at the time. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to shut this down for right now. I don't want to be vulnerable in the restaurant. We'll talk about it when we get back to the hotel room. And so we got back to the hotel room. And what came forward for me, when I was 16, I guess I was 15 at the time, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, and a girlfriend and I were going to hop on a plane to Los Angeles, and we had dreams of becoming strippers and porn stars to escape our reality. Unfortunately, a plane ticket was a little bit too much. Maybe I should say fortunately, for us to be able to actually purchase the plane tickets. And so I stayed where I was. And the homeless people triggering me took me back to that time when I was so desperate for an escape from my reality and what possibly could have become. One emotion that kept coming up when I was seeing the homeless was that feeling of abandonment and that they had nobody left. And I felt as though I was the one who was being abandoned. When my father passed, I felt like he was abandoning me. And this has been a theme throughout my life. So it was a big aha moment for me. And my husband actually asked me, have you ever been abandoned? And I actually haven't. The only thing I've done, though, is abandon myself and abandon everything that actually comes up for me in regards to what my heart wants, because I'm always trying so hard to get everyone else to like me and to accept me for who I am. And in the Evolving Out Loud, it became clear to me that the more I accept myself and stop abandoning myself, the less that fear will actually become. So to go back to the uncomfortable emotions, I've been putting on weight for about the past 5 years, ever since I had my younger son. And it seems to be something I just can't control no matter what I do. And I'll eat healthy for a period, and then I go back to junky eating. One of my biggest addictions is Coca-Cola. And what came up for me in sitting with some of the darker emotions was that when I allow myself to buy into the small story of fear and anger, and powerlessness, abandonment, I will actually reach for a Coke and drink the Coke and allow myself to numb whatever those emotions are that are coming up. In a way, it expands my waistline, obviously, but it also expands my ego because I'm allowing myself to buy into the story of what my ego is telling me rather than allowing myself to go into my heart and expand what my heart is telling me. So I had bought a Coke when we were in Hollywood, and it was one of those Coke bottles with the name on it. And I had joked when I got it, and it was actually on the Friday when I had gotten it, because it had Kevin on it. And I was like, I guess now I'm Kevin. But in realizing the ego that I was feeding in drinking the Coke, I made a joke that my ego's name is Kevin. And then when I started to go into the fears and stuff, my husband was able to realize, hey, these are your fears. And he said to me, oh, your Kevin's talking. And I was like, yes. And then he went, Kevin, which reminded us both of Home Alone. And Home Alone, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure everyone has seen it. Kevin is abandoned by his family. And he's left to his own devices in order to survive while his family is taken off on a vacation to Paris. And then again when he goes to New York. And so my ego, I have now named Kevin, because it will always remind me now that I'm actually not abandoned. And that the fear of being abandoned, of being alone, of not being loved, is not something that's true for me. I'm surrounded by so many wonderful people, but I've always had this fear that everyone's just going to leave. And so during the event, there was a man named Kitten, who went up on the stage, and Kitten talked about how he just kind of goes do, and he has a fear, I guess, of if he doesn't do, then what will happen? And because he's got all of these ideas and all of these things that he wants to push forward. And anyone who knows me knows that I do the exact same thing. And that sometimes I just need to rest. And one of the things that came up for me when I had to connect in and see what it was that my heart was wanting, my heart just said, I want to rest. And I didn't think that was okay. I judged it. And I thought, well, what kind of answer is that? I'm looking to expand my career and expand my life. How will resting allow me to do that? And funny enough, I was actually at a business event last November going into December. And when I was asked, what does it look like to stand in your own light? All I could see was myself laying in a bathtub with bubbles and candles. And I thought at the time, I judged it again, and I thought, oh, how does that expand my business? But I realized my heart was asking me then to rest. And since the Evolving Out Loud, I rested for 5 hours on the airplane on the way back home and went in and out of a meditative state, connecting with my heart, and really just seeing my heart kind of wrapped up in a blanket and holding it and allowing myself to just rest and to just be. And I've been doing it every morning since. Not for the full hour that I'm supposed to be doing. No, I'm not going to judge that. I've been allowing myself to rest for about 20-25 minutes every morning before I get the day started. And in doing that, I'm actually finding more inspiration and more connection with my soul and what it is that I'm wanting to do to move forward. So that was my experience. Another thing that actually came forward was I'm a key holder. So Kyle talks about the two different types of personalities that we have in the world. So we've got key holders, and these are the people who are like, oh, you have a problem? Let me fix it. Let me fix it. Let me fix it. And then you've got the other side of that. That is the people who lock all of their doors. And so I am a key holder. I always want to fix everybody else's problems rather than going within. My husband has always been the locked door, and I always have that key to try and get in deeper, get in deeper, get in deeper. Funny enough, we've got 5 kids at home. 4 out of those 5 kids are locked doors, and one of those kids is a key holder. And it's interesting that I always try and fix everyone else's problems. Like Arthur, that was at the Evolving Out Loud at the Dolby as well. That was something else that I recognized within myself, was that if someone else has a problem, I'll set my own problems aside and allow myself to try and fix their problem, where really the best I can do is just to hold space for them and allow them to discover their own healing in their own way. So during the event, after discovering that I was the key holder and my husband was the locked door, as the event went on, I could see my husband actually expanding, and the soul light that was coming through his eyes, it was all over his face. And after the collagoing that we did, we went on a break, and my husband was just beaming, and he was talking so much about all of this stuff that he had experienced and how fantastic that was for him. And I was kind of subdued, and I was within myself, and I wasn't as ecstatic as what he was. And he brought that up, and he was like, it just doesn't seem like you're having a lot of fun. And I said, it's funny, because the key for you to move forward here is for you to come out of your locks. And the key for me is to go within, and we're actually both doing exactly as what we need to be doing right now. Which is a bit of an aha for him to see what it's like to be without those locks on. And it was a bit of an aha for me to see what it was like to go within and to just sit with the emotions. So the event was fantastic. One of my favorite parts was at the end singing "We Are the World" with 3,000 other people at Dolby Theater. That just made my soul light on fire. Music has always been something that I love. It's something that always brings my soul out, and to be able to experience that and express that with so many other people was absolutely amazing, with the same message of "We are the world." So that was my experience. If you were there, I would love to hear what your experiences were as well. And I look forward to continuing on the path of my 90-day commitment. Also signed up for the Beyond Dolby Everything Pass, and looking forward to seeing what that brings forward. And for myself and for my husband, it's really exciting to actually be on this journey together and to be able to experience the revolution and the expansion that we're both feeling right now, and to go through our days and be like, and I love that. And I love that too. And I love that I don't love that I love that right now. So enjoy yourselves. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.